I stared at the medical report in my shaking hands, the words chronic lead exposure blurring through my tears. At 67 years old, I'd survived breast cancer, buried my husband of 40 years, and raised 3 children on a teacher's salary. But this made no sense. Dr. Patel leaned forward across her desk, her expression grave. "Mrs. Thompson, these levels don't happen by accident. Lead poisoning like this requires sustained, repeated exposure. When's the last time your home was tested?" "My home?" I felt my stomach drop. I've lived in that house for 35 years. We had it tested when my grandson was born 5 years ago. Everything was fine. "Then we need to look at other sources," she said carefully. "Your food, your water, medications you're taking. Who has access to these things?" That question hit me like a physical blow. My daughter Emma lived 2 states away with her family. My son Marcus was deployed overseas. That left exactly one person who had daily access to my food and medications, my live-in caregiver, Bethany. 6 months ago, after I'd fallen and broken my hip, Marcus had insisted on hiring someone to help around the house. Bethany had seemed like a godsend. 28 years old, bubbly, attentive, always making my favorite meals and never forgetting my evening medications. She'd moved into the spare bedroom and quickly became part of my routine. My morning coffee was always ready when I woke up. She prepared my meals, organized my pills, even did my grocery shopping. But now, sitting in this sterile office with a diagnosis that didn't make sense, Dr. Patel's question echoed in my mind. Who has access? The symptoms had started about 4 months ago. First, just fatigue that I'd blamed on age and recovery from the hip fracture. Then the stomach pains came, persistent and gnawing. My memory started slipping in strange ways. I'd forget conversations from earlier that day, misplace my reading glasses constantly, lose track of time. My hands developed a tremor that made writing Christmas cards impossible. The worst part was the taste. Everything had this metallic, bitter flavor that made eating a chore. 3 different doctors had run tests, suggested everything from early dementia to vitamin deficiencies to depression. "It's normal at your age," one had said dismissively. But Dr. Patel had been thorough, ordering a heavy metals panel after I'd mentioned the metallic taste. And now, here we were. "I want you to stop eating or drinking anything you haven't prepared yourself," Dr. Patel said firmly, "and I'm legally required to report this to Adult Protective Services. Mrs. Thompson, if someone is doing this deliberately, you're in danger." I drove home in a daze, my mind refusing to accept what my gut already knew. Bethany. Sweet, helpful Bethany who'd been so eager to take this job, who'd asked almost no questions about salary or benefits, who'd seemed too good to be true, because she was. When I got home, Bethany was in the kitchen, cheerfully preparing what she called my special health smoothie. She'd started making these 2 months ago, insisting the blend of fruits and supplements would help my recovery. I'd choked them down every morning, grateful for her care. "There you are," she chirped. "How was the doctor? I've got your smoothie ready and your afternoon pills laid out." I looked at the tall glass of thick, greenish liquid, the pills in their little organizer, and felt bile rise in my throat. "I'm not hungry right now. I think I'll just rest." Her face fell, just for a second, before the smile returned. "Oh, but you need to keep your strength up, and you haven't taken your morning medications yet, Doctor. Chen said consistency is important." "I said I'll rest," I repeated, more firmly than I'd ever spoken to her. I saw something flicker in her eyes. Annoyance? Calculation? "Of course," she said smoothly. "I'll just put it in the fridge for later." I went to my bedroom and locked the door, something I'd never done before. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my laptop. Lead poisoning. Repeated exposure. I started searching, and what I found made my blood run cold. Lead acetate. Sometimes called sugar of lead because of its sweet taste, it had been used for centuries as a poison precisely because it could be easily hidden in food and drink. Small doses over time caused exactly the symptoms I'd been experiencing, and it was available online if you knew where to look. But why? That was the question that kept circling. Bethany earned a modest salary, yes, but she had room and board. She'd seemed genuinely kind, always asking about my children, my late husband Robert, my years teaching middle school English. We'd watched movies together in the evenings, discussed books, laughed over silly reality TV shows. Unless it had all been an act. I waited until I heard Bethany's bedroom door close that night before I crept downstairs to her room. My hip ached with each step, but adrenaline pushed me forward. I knew what I was doing was wrong, possibly illegal, but I had to know. Her room was neat, almost sterile. I searched quickly, quietly, checking her dresser drawers, her closet, under her bed. Nothing. I was about to give up when I noticed her laptop left open on the small desk. The screen was dark, but when I touched the mousepad, it lit up. She hadn't logged out. Her email was open. I hesitated for only a moment before I started reading. The first few messages were innocent enough. Then I saw emails to someone named Derek. My vision blurred as I read through them. Each one worse than the last. She's getting weaker. Another month, maybe 2. Then the house is mine to sell. Our ticket out of this town. Just like you promised. I found her will today while organizing her office. Everything goes to the kids, but if I can get her to change it before she loses her marbles completely. She almost skipped the smoothie this morning. Had to really push. Can't let her get suspicious now. We're so close. I stumbled backward, my hand over my mouth to hold back a sob. The room spun. Derek. I knew that name. Bethany had mentioned him once, casually, as an old friend she'd lost touch with. But these emails painted a different picture. They'd planned this together. Found me through the Caregiver agency. Targeted me specifically because I lived alone in a paid-off house in an expensive neighborhood. The property was worth over $600,000, according to one of her messages to him. But how would killing me get her the house? I forced myself to keep reading, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Then I found it, an email with an attachment labeled Revised Will PDF. She'd created a fake will, leaving everything to my devoted caregiver Bethany Miller, who has been like a daughter to me in my final months. There were even forged signatures, copied from old checks in my desk drawer. She was going to poison me until I was too weak and confused to fight back, then present this fake will to my family, claiming I'd changed it out of gratitude. With me dead or incapacitated, who would challenge it? Emma and Marcus would be devastated, grieving, dealing with funeral arrangements. By the time they thought to question the will, she'd have sold the house and disappeared. I took photos of everything with my phone, my hands shaking so badly I had to take each shot multiple times. Then I crept back upstairs and locked myself in my room again. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling like the world had tilted sideways. How had I been so blind? So trusting? I kept replaying moments from the past 6 months, seeing them now through this horrible new lens. The way she'd isolated me, discouraging visits from my friend Dorothy by saying I needed rest. How she'd accidentally disconnected calls from Emma, claiming bad reception. The time she'd suggested I let her handle my banking because the computer systems are so confusing nowadays. I'd thought she was helping. She'd been trapping me. When morning came, I heard her moving around downstairs, preparing my coffee, making my smoothie. The same routine as always, except now I knew each cup, each meal, each pill she handed me could contain poison. I waited until she knocked on my door. "Mrs. Thompson? Are you okay? You didn't come down for breakfast." "I'm not feeling well," I called through the door, not opening it. "I think I'll just stay in bed today." "Oh no! Let me bring you something. You need to keep your strength up. I've got your morning medications and I made your favorite oatmeal." "I'm not hungry. Please, I just need rest." I heard her pause outside the door. When she spoke again, her voice had an edge I'd never heard before. "You really should take your medications on schedule, Mrs. Thompson. Dr. Chen said consistency is crucial. I'll take them later." Another pause, then footsteps retreating down the hall. But I could feel her suspicion like a physical presence. I called Emma from my room, my voice low. "Sweetheart, I need you to come visit. As soon as possible." "Mom? What's wrong? You sound strange. Please, just trust me. Don't tell Bethany you're coming. Can you be here today?" "Mom, you're scaring me." "What's going on?" I wanted to tell her everything, but something stopped me. What if I was wrong? What if there was some other explanation? No, the emails were clear. But I needed Emma here, needed someone I could trust. "Please, honey. I can't explain over the phone, but I need you." Emma must have heard something in my voice because she agreed to drive down immediately. 4 hours. I just had to make it 4 hours. Those 4 hours felt like 4 years. Bethany knocked on my door 3 more times, increasingly insistent that I eat something, take my medications, let her check on me. I claimed a migraine, then a stomach bug, anything to avoid opening that door. Around noon, I heard her on the phone in her room, her voice low and urgent. I pressed my ear to my bedroom floor, straining to hear through the heating vent. Starting to get suspicious. She won't eat anything today. I don't know, maybe she went to a different doctor. No, I can't just leave now. Not when we're this close. Fine, I'll figure something out. Just be ready to move when I call. Derek. She was talking to Derek. When Emma finally arrived, I heard Bethany greet her cheerfully downstairs. Emma, what a wonderful surprise. Your mother didn't mention you were coming. She's been feeling under the weather today. Nothing serious, just a bit of a bug. I unlocked my door and called down. Emma, can you come up here, please? Alone. I saw Bethany's face as Emma climbed the stairs. That flash of annoyance again, quickly masked. I'll make some tea for you both, she said sweetly. Don't bother, Emma called back, something in my tone apparently alerting her. Once my bedroom door was closed and locked, I told Emma everything. I showed her the photos of the emails, the fake will, the medical report from Dr. Patel. I watched the color drain from her face, watched her hands clench into fists, watched tears of rage and horror fill her eyes. Mom, she whispered. Oh my God, Mom. We have to call the police right now. Not yet, I said. I need more proof. The emails might not be enough. She could claim her account was hacked, that someone was playing a prank. We need to catch her in the act. Emma wanted to argue, but she saw the determination in my face. Her father had always said I was stubborn as a mule, and right then, I needed that stubbornness. My grandson Tyler was taking computer science in college. Emma called him, explained the situation, and within 2 hours he'd driven up with equipment I didn't fully understand. Tiny wireless cameras, he called them. While Bethany was supposedly out grocery shopping, Tyler and Emma worked quickly, installing cameras in the kitchen, the living room, and focused on the counter where she prepared my food and medications. Grandma, these will record everything to a secure cloud server, Tyler explained, his young face tight with anger. Even if she finds them and destroys them, we'll have the footage. And I've set up motion alerts on your phone. You'll get a notification every time she enters the kitchen. We finished just as Bethany's car pulled into the driveway. Tyler and Emma left through the back door while I went downstairs, forcing myself to act normal. Feeling better? Bethany asked, all concern and warmth. A little, I said. I think I'm ready for some dinner. Her smile widened. Wonderful. I'll make your favorite. Chicken soup and fresh bread. I watched her work, forcing myself to chat normally, to laugh at her jokes, all while my phone sat in my cardigan pocket, waiting. That night, I pretended to eat the soup, slipping spoonfuls into a napkin when she wasn't looking. I palmed the pills she gave me, hiding them under my tongue until I could spit them into the bathroom sink. For 3 days, Emma and Tyler monitored the camera feeds remotely while I played the role of the trusting, foolish old woman. I got weaker, deliberately this time, pretending my symptoms were worsening. I stumbled more, forgot names, let my hands shake when I held my coffee cup. Bethany watched it all with what I now recognized as satisfaction. On the 4th morning, my phone buzzed with a motion alert at 5:47 a.m. I pulled up the camera feed with trembling hands. Bethany was in the kitchen, still in her pajamas. She looked around carefully, then reached behind the flour canister on the top shelf and pulled out a small plastic bag filled with white powder. My stomach clenched. She measured out a small amount with a teaspoon, then stirred it into the protein powder she used for my morning smoothie. She replaced the bag, wiped down the spoon, and started the blender. I had her. I forwarded the video to Emma and Tyler, then took a shaky breath. Just a few more hours, just until Detective Morrison arrived. Emma had contacted the police the day before, and they'd agreed to come this morning to review our evidence. When Bethany brought the smoothie to my room, I was ready. Thank you, dear, I said, taking it with both hands. You take such good care of me. Of course, Mrs. Thompson. You're like family to me. Family. The word made me sick. Detective Morrison arrived at 9 a.m. with 2 uniformed officers. I'd unlocked the front door for them so Bethany wouldn't have warning. I heard her startled voice from downstairs. "Hello, can I help you?" "We're looking for Bethany Miller. Are you she?" "Yes." What is this about?" "We'd like to ask you some questions." "Is there somewhere we can talk?" I came down the stairs slowly, my hip genuinely aching. Bethany's face went white when she saw me. "Mrs. Thompson, what's going on? Why are the police here?" "Show her," I said to Detective Morrison. They'd brought a laptop. The detective turned it to face Bethany and pressed play. Her face on the screen, reaching for the poison, measuring it carefully, stirring it into my food. The video was crystal clear. There was no denying what we were seeing. "I can explain," Bethany stammered. You don't understand." "Then help us understand," Detective Morrison said calmly. "What are we looking at?" Bethany's eyes darted around the room, looking for escape, for any way out. Then she did something I didn't expect. She started crying. "She was supposed to die months ago," she sobbed. "I didn't want to do this. Derek said it would be quick, that she wouldn't suffer much, that old people die all the time and no one questions it, but she kept hanging on. I kept having to increase the dose and she still wouldn't die." The room went silent. Even Detective Morrison looked shocked at how quickly she'd confessed. "Derek said we'd finally have enough money to start over," she continued, words pouring out now. "He's got gambling debts, bad people after him. We needed cash fast, and this house, it's worth so much. We found her will, saw she was leaving everything to her kids, but if she changed it before she died, if she left it to me, we could sell and no one would know. Old people change their wills all the time when they get confused. The kids would be upset, but they'd get over it. We were just taking what we needed. She's old anyway. She had a good life." I felt Emma's hand grip mine. I hadn't even heard her come in. "You were poisoning my mother," Emma said, her voice deadly quiet. "For money." Bethany looked at her, seeming to finally realize the enormity of what she'd admitted. "I didn't mean. I wasn't trying to. She was already old." "She's my mother," Emma said. "She's a person. She's a human being who trusted you." They arrested Bethany right there in my living room. As they put the handcuffs on, she looked at me one last time. "I took care of you," she said, and I couldn't tell if she actually believed that or if she was still trying to manipulate me even now. "I made your meals. I gave you your medicine. I was there when no one else was." "You were killing me," I said quietly. "Every smoothie, every cup of coffee, every pill you handed me. You were killing me and smiling while you did it." They found Derek 2 days later. He had a criminal record, including fraud and assault. The small plastic bag from behind my flour canister tested positive for lead acetate, purchased from an industrial supply website using a fake account. They found more emails, more detailed plans. They'd been researching how to forge my signature for months, practicing on old papers they'd stolen from my desk. The fake will would never have held up in court, the lawyer later told me. But they'd been banking on my children being too grief-stricken to fight, too overwhelmed to question anything in those first weeks after my death. They'd have sold the house quickly, probably for less than it was worth, taken the cash, and disappeared before anyone thought to investigate. Bethany took a plea deal. 15 years for attempted murder, fraud, and elder abuse. Derek got 12 years as an accessory. Neither of them showed remorse at their sentencing. Bethany's lawyer tried to argue that she'd been coerced by Derek, that she was a victim too, but the emails told a different story. This had been her idea from the start. She'd targeted me specifically, researched me through the Caregiver agency, learned I was a widow with a valuable house and children who lived far away. I'd been prey. The hardest part wasn't the betrayal, though that burned like acid. It was accepting how close I'd come. Dr. Patel told me later that another month, maybe 6 weeks, and the damage would have been irreversible. My kidneys were starting to fail. My brain showed signs of toxic encephalopathy. I would have died, probably in my sleep, and everyone would have nodded sadly and said, "Well, she was 67. These things happen." Emma moved into the spare room for 3 months while I recovered. Marcus got emergency leave and flew home for 2 weeks. Tyler installed a proper security system with cameras I could actually see, not hidden ones. My friend Dorothy came by every day, bringing casseroles and gossip and fierce, protective love. Slowly, I healed. My hair stopped falling out. My hands steadied. The metallic taste faded. My memory sharpened again, though I still have gaps from those worst months, holes where poison had eaten away at my mind. I see a therapist now. Doctor Williams specializes in trauma, and yes, she assures me, this counts as trauma. Some days I feel strong, righteously angry, grateful to be alive. Other days I flinch when someone offers me coffee, suspicious of every kind gesture, wondering if it's real or if there's something sinister underneath. But I'm alive. That's what I hold on to. I'm alive because I asked questions, because I trusted my instinct that something was wrong, because I fought back instead of accepting what was happening to me. The house feels different now. I've repainted Bethany's room, turned it into a craft space. I make my own meals, take my own medications carefully measured out by the pharmacist. Emma calls every day, sometimes twice. Marcus sends photos from his deployment, reminding me I'm loved. I'm 67 years old. I survived cancer. I survived losing my husband. And I survived someone trying to kill me in my own home, with my own food, while smiling to my face and calling me family. I plan to live for a very long time, not out of spite, though there's some of that, but because I've learned something these past months. Life is precious. Every morning I wake up, every cup of coffee I make myself, every phone call with my children, every sunset I watch from my back porch, they're all gifts. Gifts that someone tried to steal from me. They failed. And I'm still here, still strong, still standing. That's my victory. Not just surviving, but thriving. Taking back my life from someone who tried to end it. Sometimes I wonder if Bethany thinks about me in prison, if she regrets what she did or if she only regrets getting caught. I'll never know. What I do know is this: I'm free, and she's not. I'm surrounded by people who genuinely love me while she sits in a cell, alone with her choices. Justice isn't just a concept. It's real. It's her 15 years for my survival. It's the safety I feel now, knowing she can't hurt me anymore. It's waking up each morning without poison in my system, without fear in my heart. I teach a class now at the senior center about elder abuse and how to recognize the signs. I show them my story, not for sympathy, but as a warning and a promise. It can happen to anyone, but you can survive it. You can fight back. At 67, I thought my biggest adventures were behind me. Turns out I was wrong. Every day now is an adventure. Every breath is a rebellion against what was planned for me. And I've never felt more alive.